Welcome, guys. And now we are on the fifth game in the concept of key squares. And this game was played between Califman and Adams in 1990. The game goes d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, bishop b4 check. Black chooses the Bogo Indian. Usually, after exchanging the dark squared bishops, Black opens the diagonal for his light squared one by placing his pawns on d6 and e5. Bishop d2, queen e7, g3, knight c6. Uh, Here b6, bishop g2 and bishop b7 with control over the e4 square is also well known and fine for black. Knight c3, white takes control over the e4 square, forcing black to exchange the bishops for the knight at some point. Black do it immediately. Bishop takes c3, bishop takes c3, knight e4, rook c1, d6, bishop g2, knight takes c3. Sooner or later black will be forced to capture the bishop, and after rook takes c3, e5. Now white must make a decision. Capturing on e5 is primitive and black is out of trouble after recapturing with the pawn. Keeping the tension in the center also doesn't hinder black's development. So white chooses the most active continuation, although after this advance there is a risk of making the g2 bishop bad. d5, knight b8, and the knight aims for the c5 square, and after castling, knight d2, a5, securing the c5 square for the knight. Now c5. White found this active continuation on move 11. He wants to utilize his superior development. Otherwise, after finishing development, black would have excellent prospectus due to his potentially powerful bishop. Knight a6. D takes c5 would be risky. Here, if at all d takes c5, then knight e4, knight a6, and d6, and after cd6, queen takes d6. After queen takes d6 and knight takes d6, white has more than compensation. So here after knight a6, cd6, cd6, and knight c4, queen d8, protecting the a5 pawn and controlling the b6 square. a3. After this unnecessary prophylactic move, white loses the initiative. Black gets a chance and turns the game around. b5. Here instead queen b3 was more aggressive. After knight c5, queen b5, bishop d7, queen b6, queen takes, knight takes, rook a6, knight c4, with annoying pressure on the d6 pawn. And b5, knight d2, bishop d7. The bishop is much better placed there than on b7. Of course, otherwise white would happily place his bishop on h3. Queen b1, b4, Black must not allow white to play b4. a b4, a b4, rook c, c1, knight c5. The situation has clarified. Black is already better. White's pieces are kicked back, and the c5 knight is dominating the entire board. White's next move is incorrect. Knight e4. Here queen c2 with the idea of transferring the rook to the a file was obviously a better choice. Or even f4 in order to find counterplay on the king side also deserved some attention. But white goes for knight e4. And now bishop f5. This is a simple move that Califman incredibly allowed. Black will dominate in the endgame with a strong knight against a bad bishop. Rook c4, b3. Although this pawn will be fixed on a light square, it will be safe. The bishop will soon be unable to attack it. This move grants black control over the outpost a2 and c2. Queen c1, bishop takes e4, bishop takes e4, f5. Black puts pressure on both flanks. Bishop g2, queen a5, h4. It is now too late to go for the king side counterplay. The queen side should be white's focus. And after queen b5, queen c3, knight a4, queen b4. Although this looks logical, it is not good. Here instead queen c1, and black has to go knight c5 to close the c file and prevent white from playing rook c7. After queen takes b4, rook takes b4, rook fb8, rook takes b8, rook takes b8, rook b1, rook c8, bishop h3, g6, e4, rook c2, rook a1, knight c5, ef5, rook takes b2, f takes g6, h takes g6, rook bishop e6 check, king f8, rook a8 check, king e7. After trying all the active moves and tactics, white resigned here. Unable to find an active continuation on move 17, white switched to defense. That is one of the most important psychological aspects in the game of chess, deciding when to seek activity and when to switch to defense. So I hope you would have enjoyed the game, guys. I will be meeting you in the next game. Thank you all.